Hey there, JVix here. Welcome to another episode of Meet the Experts. I believe that we've crossed the 80 mark. I think this is 81. I'm pretty sure we're up to episode 81 here. I have to go back and make sure I'm right on that number. But what is Meet the Experts? Look, it's really just a place where we help business owners, marketers, leaders, thought leaders, managers, anyone inside of a business that wants to get more information out about their business. We help them create up to a year's worth or more of video content in under 30 minutes. So it's a quick interview. Let people talk about who they are, what they do, who they help, right? And what makes them special and unique. And we give them the video. So if you stick around to the end, I will tell you how you could be an upcoming guest on Meet the Experts if that sounds like something you'd want to be a part of. I mean, free video content, yeah, sign me up, right? Anyway, yeah, episode 81. We're getting close to number 100, which we're building some big plans for episode 100. And this show, Meet the Experts, is sponsored by our CRM all-in-one marketing suite of software tools called Journey Builder. It's a CRM, it's a booking calendar, it's a email and text marketing platform. It's got online reviews. You book more appointments, get more leads, appointments, sales, and reviews and referrals, all under one roof. We can build your website. We can build blah, 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 blah. There's a whole lot of stuff. So if you're interested in learning more about Journey Builder, I highly recommend you reach out to me after the show. With that being said, today I have Crissy Russo coming on. She is the Senior Vice President of Marketing with a franchise called Junk King, and she's been marketing for 20 years. So I always love chatting marketing with people. She's in the Bay Area of Northern California. She's a brand enthusiast, and she likes to say she accidentally fell into and in love with the franchising industry. And as you know, if you've been watching some of our recent episodes, we've been talking a lot with franchisors, franchisees, people who buy and sell, mergers and acquisitions. We've been talking a lot about multi-location businesses. It's kind of been the theme for the fall with Meet the Experts. So yeah, let's get right to it. Let me get Crissy up. Crissy, hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right today. I know it's a little bit earlier for you. It's not early, but it's a little bit earlier in the day for you being on the West Coast. But I'm
I've
glad you
had
were
my
able to.
coffee, so we're good.
Awesome. I had mine hours ago, and I think I'm still like, going crazy from it. But um, well, cool. Let's dive right in. So tell us a little bit more about Crissy and kind of what you do.
Yeah, so I have been in marketing for a really long time. I was kind of one of the fortunate ones that went to school for marketing. Everybody says they're a marketing. I have a degree in marketing, but I do have a degree in marketing, and I got a job right out of school as your little low-level do-it-all marketer. Learned everything from direct mail and calls to action in the travel industry, actually, which was pretty awesome as a 20-nothing-year-old. Started out copywriting, really. Was able to go on a ton of cruises and cool vacations, all under the guise of, I'm going to write about this to potential sales opportunity type situations. So got to see the world for essentially free. And then kind of moved up and entered the B2B space, which is very unique and different. I was in actually staffing, HR and staffing for the majority of my career. Was able to grow fairly to the top. Was in a staffing company that ended up getting bought by a larger staffing company, decided to try something new. Ended up in outplacement, which is just the other side of staffing, really. And that company actually ended up getting bought by the original company I left, which it's all incestuous in staffing. Um, and then I moved on to a more regional-based staffing company where I had my first opportunity at marketing leadership. And to be honest, I won quite a few different awards and 40 under 40 and more on a local level. And I got bored.
Mm.
And it just felt like I had reached as much as I was going to be able to do within staffing. And the opportunity for Junking came about. It also offered me an opportunity to no longer commute. The Bay Area is known for its long commutes, and everybody's used to it. But I am a mother of four.
Hmm.
My kids were getting older and needed me around more. I didn't want to miss things anymore, and decided that Junking was something I should probably pursue. They thought so as well, and I entered into a brand new industry, more consumer driven, which was brand new to me, and junk removal, which just seemed like a very interesting industry in general, especially in terms of franchising and what that model meant. So there's so many things to learn. And I started in December of 2019,
Okay.
which everybody knows what happened of March of 2020. So it was kind of, lit a fire a little bit. Like, not only do I have to learn this within the first 90 days, but I have to keep it going. So it was quite the exciting time. But yeah, that's kind of my trajectory from school to present day.
I love it. And one of the things that I think was really fascinating, I mean, our show, Meet the Experts, was kind of born right at the same time of the pandemic, because it was a way that we could still network, right, with people without having to go in person and breathe on one another, right? And I think that, and maybe you can speak more to this, but was there a spike of junk removal when people were stuck at home, and then now they're cleaning out their houses because they have nothing else to do?
Yeah, so that whole talk track. So I believe Junking was acquired by private equity before I joined, and I think they saw value in getting leadership in here that had experience at the marketing level, the ops level, and things of that nature. And I believe I was brought in for my B2B side, like my
Okay.
B2B ability, the understanding of getting to commercial customers. And that was kind of seen as how Junking was going to grow and compete with those guys that drive the blue trucks,
Mhm.
getting those national accounts. And then the world shut down, and it was like, oh, well, none of those businesses are going to need any help. Everything's shutting down. And as I was sitting in my own house with my kids running around and not having enough space, I quickly realized that a mom of four, a single family home, with kids that needed to now be schooled at home while I also worked, it became very apparent what the need was
Mm.
because I needed it. So
Right. Yeah.
I am the customer. So yes, and the fact that we are kind of a small, scrappy, or were, I should say, a small, scrappy franchisor at that time, we were nimble. We have in-house development too. So in terms of whatever crazy idea that myself and my team had, we could implement it almost immediately. So we were first to market in a lot of the messaging that was just resonating with
Mhm.
the people across the country. Are you stuck in your home and you need to get rid of this stuff? Do you need to make space and room for now your schooling and work environments? All of those things we were considered essential. So being able to get that out there, our best practices on, contactless service. Like, we don't have to, you could put everything outside and we can come pick it up and we can kind of accept payment from the window type situation. So we were able to quickly capitalize on some of the messaging that the country was resonating with at the time, and kind of kept that going. But to your point, yes, everybody was staring at things that they finally had the time or the expendable income, because they weren't going anywhere, to
Right.
get rid of. They couldn't do it themselves for the simple fact that you weren't allowed out of the house for a little while. And even when you were able to do things on your own, nobody really wanted or had the means, the truck, it would be multiple truckloads or things like that. Not to mention all the renovations that were happening.
Mm.
People were stuck in their homes. They could finally get to some of these projects, these remodels, and being able to quickly get rid of all the debris was super helpful during these times.
That's right. You brought up a lot of good points, and a lot of things that I hadn't even thought of. So when we're talking about your services and kind of who they help, and I know, so maybe the plan was B2B, and then you realize there's a massive B2C market. So what are some of those services, and really who is that target market that you're truly going after at this point?
So those first 30, 60, 90 days, that's really what I was trying to dive into. Like, all right, who's our buyer? What's going on here? Who do I have to reach? Where's the target? And to be honest, everybody has junk. So now it was, all right, well, who do we message it to though? So how do we message what's going on and capture the right people for the job that we kind of can do for them? So we do everything from residential junk hauling, light demolition, to commercial hauling, as well as we offer a dumpster rental service, so that self-service option. And now we actually have the 3-yard dumpster bag. So we like to tout that we pick up just about anything. So if you have something laying around that's broken, that you're getting something that's new and it's time to upgrade, downgrade, whatever it may be, we can pretty much take it all as long as it's not hazardous waste. And our trucks are 20% bigger than the competition. And why does that even matter? When I first heard that, I was like, yay, you have a large truck. Like, what does that mean? And it really matters because we charge by volume. So how much space you take in the truck. So when you think about it, our pricing, you're going to end up getting rid of more stuff for less because it's going to take less room in the truck. Where, your job could be one full truck. For us, it's only, it's a truck and a quarter for somebody else. And so you're going to end up paying those prices. So that's kind of the difference there. But yeah, we do really large jobs, full house cleanouts for movers, things of that nature. If you're downsizing, we can take those items off your hands. If you have a broken appliance, we can do that as well. And then we recycle. So all of our franchisees have warehouses, which kind of are, silently dubbed recycling centers, because they take everything back to their warehouse, sort it, and make sure that only the things that need to go to the landfill are going. Otherwise, they're recycled, repurposed, and often donated to nonprofits.
Very cool. I know I kind of didn't talk to you about this one. All right, so how many franchisees does Junk King have now?
So we have about 170 locations across the United States and Canada. And it's growing. I think we just brought on 2 new owners, and about almost a little over 100 owners. So there are a lot of multi-location owners out there.
Cool.
But we are well positioned across almost most municipalities and some secondary markets as well.
That is awesome. Yeah, I was talking with a franchisor on an episode that we just recorded recently, and she was saying that something like 99% or something of franchises don't make it to 50 locations. Like it's only like 1% that ever make it to 50 plus locations. It's very hard to do, and I have enough to manage my one marketing agency, let alone running several different businesses. So I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think franchising, and kind of in how I say that I fell into by accident and then fell in love with. I think the accident part was just there was this unique opportunity in my hometown area of this kind of nationwide brand, kind of learning something new. But as I got into it, being on this side, and my role is really the national brand, and I have a team that kind of drives and gets down into the weeds for the local level. But I actually have the most fun having the conversations with our local owners and really helping them develop a marketing plan, figuring out what works in their specific market, giving them opportunities to grow and excel that maybe they didn't think of. So you have this overarching kind of focus to grow the brand and make it a household name. But at the end of the day, to help people realize their entrepreneurial goals, help them, many of them who are trying to create a legacy for their family, generational wealth, things of this nature, to help them see that vision through and that dream. It's almost got this it's got a really cool vibe.
Yeah.
It's a consulting situation that you can really see that growth potential and see the happiness when somebody comes to you and you help them develop certain aspects in marketing they didn't think of, that then pan out and work, and they're starting to see just huge growth numbers. There's something there that's what I fell in love with when it comes to the franchise world.
I love it. And that kind of brings up my next question almost in a unique way. So obviously we don't get up and do what we do every day just because it's just another job, right? Obviously if we stick with something for a while, and you just talked about how you fell in love with franchising and the company. Um, you've probably heard from some people, whether it's franchisees or whether it's customers. But obviously, you don't get to 170 locations if you're not doing something right. And is there anything that somebody has said or written about you or told you, like a win or a testimonial that just kind of keeps you motivated every day that you would think about?
I think during the pandemic in general, we were able to kind of run this whole campaign for those first responders or essential workers that had to go into work every day, regardless of what was happening. So your first responders, your teachers, grocery store workers, and we did this campaign where people submitted whom they thought should receive a free junk removal for all the work and effort they're putting in. And a lot of those comments from a social perspective really made us feel like we were doing something right. These people were working double shifts day in and day out, and they didn't have time to take care of their homes. They didn't have time to figure out what to do with things that were piling up, cardboard from Amazon
Mm.
orders, because they themselves didn't have time to go to the grocery store or order things. So the ability to take that off their plate and learn how much it helped them in their just daily lives. And then in a lot of instances in that same vein, our franchisees were able to offer up their driving services with the big trucks to drop off groceries to senior citizens, and help out in a way that they may not have thought was possible earlier on, in some of these tougher times. So those types of things have been, we've been cherishing throughout, as to why we do what we do and why we're so active in our community. Junking has a very strong philanthropic approach, community based. The recycling is one piece of it. Like, we put a big emphasis on sustainability. And that started with our founder, Michael Andriaki. When he started this business, he noticed that he was going to the landfill multiple times a day. And every time he would drop, one of his hauling loads off, he would go back the next day, and his specific pile just kept getting bigger and bigger. So it was his mission to stop growing that pile. And I think in that same vein, we've all kind of just taken it up a notch. So our partnerships with the American Heart Association, the American Cancer Society, the Boys and Girls Club of America, and all the different things we do with the nonprofits, from the things we pick up to just the programs we run. Seeing the smile on the kids' faces when we drop off toys from our holidays program, seeing the bins and the different things we're able to provide to some of these events, and taking that off of their bottom line so that more of your donation dollars goes to the actual cause instead of the event management. So all of these things really kind of end up being a big piece of what Junking's about and what keeps us going.
That's awesome. It kind of, I was thinking the one word that kept coming to my head was mission, right? And I think you really, um, you know, really hammered that point home in the best way possible. It's so nice to hear that, there is that philanthropic side to the business, that giving back, that community spirit, and putting smiles on people's faces is awesome. So kudos to you and the whole company for kind of taking the lead on a company or on a business where you might not think, like, you think Junk King and you're not thinking like all the great things you're doing in the community, but you have a massive, it's a massive opportunity there, and I'm glad you're all positioning yourselves in that way.
Yeah, there's there's interesting things that do happen, and we hear stories from even individual franchise owners of the different items that they find, refurbish, and are able to put back into the community. One really comes to mind where one of our owners ended up picking up I don't know, what would you call it? The motorized wheelchair
Oh,
of
okay.
sort. They picked one up that was, the owner said it was broken, didn't work. They just needed it out. So they were able to take it. They took it back. They kind of poked around, ended up changing a few things, got it working, and were able to donate it to someone in need, just because that's what we do. So literally alleviating this one couple from removing this from their home and unleashing that burden, trying to get rid of it, to literally changing somebody else's life by having this very expensive piece now available to them so they can be more mobile.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So, Crissy, you kind of talked about like, you know, marketing degree coming out of school. And I may know the answer to this one already, but to be head of marketing at Junk King, I would say, how have you earned it, learned it, or proved your authority? Has there been any titles or certifications along the way that you feel have helped you in your current job, in your current role?
Yeah, so I think, from my perspective, I come from an athletic background. I played basketball at a pretty high level, a Division I level, and just have this sense of passion to go for all of it. So, and really put in the effort and the time, as well as the growth from being an athlete and having to network and position myself in a way to earn such a scholarship,
Yeah.
really enabled me to develop skills to advocate for myself. So, putting myself in the position to grow and learn from top leaders. I have a mentor that has been with me for 20 years, and I still lean on her. And she was kind of the first female leader in a marketing role that I wanted to be. I wanted to be in her seat. She was a mom. She was well respected in the industry. And she was just a proven leader. And I just felt like if she can do it, I can do it too. So really leaned on her for advice and growth. And as it came for me to leave that company, she kind of just stayed with me throughout it. But really capitalizing on every opportunity that came my way. And then as I moved up into the more startup world, leaning on the CEO, and he was a huge advocate for the growth of women in the industry. And so he kind of took me under his wing. I learned a lot from him in terms of not just marketing, but just navigating the VC world, private equity world, and everything that I did at that time really gave me the opportunity to capture that first seat at the table, from the vice president position. And that, saw me back in the original staffing role. My network had grown immensely by then. And I was able to push forward a lot of tech initiatives that just weren't in the staffing world at the time. That enabled me to receive a lot of different awards, which at the time I was like, well, that's fun and that's interesting. I didn't really put a lot of on it. You know, things like 40 under 40 or millennials. There's a millennial award, and yes, I am on the cusp. I am a millennial. Things of that nature that just kind of gave me the confidence to keep having those hard conversations, keep talking up at those seats with the board and the executive meetings and things like that. And coming over to Junk King, as I fell in love with franchising, I really saw an opportunity to, like, this may be where I've always meant to be in franchising. And so I quickly moved to get my certified franchise executive designation. I think it took me less than 18 months. Like, I was like, I need to get this thing. So I immersed myself in all the ins and outs of what franchising is, not just marketing, just what it takes to be a franchisor, all the legalities around it, how to effectively work with franchisees as well as the overall brand. So, and it's a huge network. There's so many of us out there, and to be able to lean on other franchise executives for challenges and wins has been great for us at Junking and just the entire franchise community.
That's a cool certification. Like, there's always a certification that I've never heard of before that just surprises me as like, makes sense, makes perfect sense. So why wouldn't I have thought there was something like that? So I think that's awesome. And I just had this conversation with my wife recently about awards. We've been fortunate enough to win some awards too, and over the years I've kind of been like, that's cool, but like, it's a big deal to be recognized for something. I'm getting one next month in Dallas. I'm going to Dallas and getting an award. And it's like, you always, I say I find myself, placing less of an importance on these awards, but really it sounds a lot cooler when you can say you're an award-winning marketer or an award-winning agency, right? It makes sense, and you can back it up. Like, I have certificates and awards right behind me, and I'm like, I sometimes I just, like, it's almost like I'm stomping them on their importance, but yet they're super important. So
I think it goes back. I mean, it might go back to literally as you were saying that, I was like, oh my God, I just got a top CMO and franchising award.
awesome.
But like,
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those things where you just kind of like, I still get up, I still put my pants on the same as you do, and I still go to work. And so I think that's a part of, I don't want to call it humbleness, because I was very excited to receive it. I was happy.
Yeah.
It validates all the hard work, and definitely something to show my daughters that
Yes.
this is something you can do. But yeah, I think to your point, it's hard to accept the accolades sometimes.
It is, but I think we should embrace it. I think in our role we should embrace it. In our companies we should embrace that. So we've got a couple. I got a couple more questions for you, and then we'll wrap up. And I appreciate all your time today. It's been a really good interview. I'm gonna kind of switch gears. You don't have to. You could keep it on the professional level, or you could go personal. It's up to you. But this is the one where I gain so much perspective in life just from asking this question and hearing other people. But if I said, Crissy, just tell me something you're thankful for, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Probably my family.
Yeah.
I think come from humble beginnings, hardworking father, scrappy mom, and had to figure out a way to move up, if you will. And basketball really helped me get there. And I think without the support of my family, I'm not sure I would have made it there. Big city living, trying to stay focused. So that was helpful. And then beyond that dream, just, my husband, and now ultimately my children, just keeps me going every day. My husband's always been incredibly supportive of me moving on and moving up. And whether that meant I was going to be away from home more than he was used to, or the kids were used to, and just keeping that drive alive in me, not giving me, hey, you need to be here more, or, this isn't going to work anymore, things like that. But just always having that support system of the family has just really empowered me to keep going, and ultimately just change the trajectory of what's next for my legacy.
That's awesome. I love it when people say family. I think that's, to me, that's kind of the pinnacle, right? We should all be so lucky to have, good family that support us like that. And it sounds awesome. Hey, can I ask, where did you play basketball at?
San Jose State.
Awesome.
The WAC.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, it was basketball afforded me some really cool things. I was able to get out of San Francisco, see the world a little bit. And I mean the world. So
Yeah.
I've been to probably 48 of the 50 states playing ball. So it's met a lot of really awesome people, had some really great coaches that, again, that mentorship, I think allowing myself to see who a mentor would be came from what basketball was. in the professional world, like having coaches that really took an interest, that weren't getting paid, by the way, right? I don't think we
Right.
give our volunteer coaches enough um, like just compliments in that they're not getting anything out of this. I mean, there are enough teams out there now where, those AAU teams where it's quite the investment. And that's fine. Those coaches are great as well. But when your kids are just starting out and they're trying to learn the love of the game, it starts with a volunteer, maybe even a parent that's just trying to figure it out. And those coaches are, a big piece of why I'm here today.
I love that. I love that even on a selfish level, because I coached my daughter in youth soccer and she was 7. She's still 7. It was this past spring, and when I went into it with so much trepidation. I've always loved sports, but going into that, it was one of the most rewarding things I've done, and I will do it again at some point. But that was it. I'm so glad that I was able to do it, because I always thought growing up, oh, I'm definitely going to be the dad who's coaching sports. And then when I became the dad, I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to be around all the kids. I mean, I like kids and all, but it was awesome. It was so much fun. So
Yeah,
that's
it takes a special person. Like I've definitely coached and I've had very rewarding engagements in terms of just seeing the kid who was timid or didn't
Mhm.
think they were good or whatever it may be. And by the end of the year, just was an animal.
Yeah, I
Like
love that.
those are huge wins. And I coached a girls team before I had kids, just to see. I wanted to see if I was any good at it, and quickly realized that I needed the middle school age. I
Yeah.
needed some know-how of the game. I'm not good with teaching fundamentals, but
Mm.
if you have some know-how, I can elevate your game. And there's one girl on this team that had the heart of a lion, heart of a champion. Um, was never going to be the best basketball player, but she gave it everything. And I followed her. I still speak with her to this day. She's a grown woman with her own family, but she ended up getting a scholarship for crew at Alabama,
Wow.
University of Alabama. And I was like, yes, you were the one that was going to do something big at some point, because she had that fire. And it's just sometimes when you just give them the confidence to think they can be everything,
Yep.
that's the cool, rewarding piece of it all.
I love it. That's good, and it's good to know. All right, I've got one more question, Crissy. This has been awesome. Um, this one, it's kind of the FAQ question, right? There's questions that I'm sure you get asked, and we don't need to go into more than one. We can just do the one biggie. But what is that one big frequently asked question that you get? And I'm going to give you the floor and the platform to answer it on video so that you can make it live forever on the website or wherever else you choose to use it. What would that be?
I think if I had to think of one question that I get often, especially when it comes to junk removal, besides like junk removal, like you guys go to the dumps, right? It's like, yeah, actually, is what makes us different. Because when you do, maybe a search online or, junk hauling, a lot come up. It is a very impacted industry, and not just the bigger players that you may know the names of, Junk King included, but there are the smaller regional homegrown guys with trucks that are also available to do this job. And so I think what makes Junk King different, besides the power of the brand and the professionalism and things of that nature, is definitely the recycling aspect. We are we practice what we preach. We say we recycle, repurpose, reuse up to 60% of every haul, and that is true. We have the warehouses to prove it. There are some locations in the country that even market up to 100%. Their goal is to break down every item that they pull back into their space. I think the other big difference is the size of our trucks. I alluded to it earlier, but 20% bigger is a big deal. Like that quarter of a truck at that price is really an eighth of a truck, and you're paying less. So I think there is that piece as well. But what also makes us different is, you're going to get a nice clean truck show up to your home. The individuals coming into your home are uniformed and clean and professional. We are very highly rated. I think our system as a whole is 4.9 stars. Most of the comments are they were fast, they were reliable, and they even cleaned before they left. Your space ends up being cleaner than before you had all the junk there. So I think there's a lot of really cool things that make junking just a little bit more elevated in a very blue collar industry.
Yeah.
And that sustainability piece is big. I mean, we even have a whole back end software that helps us dispatch our trucks to ensure that we spend the least amount of time on the road, even. So now you're talking about emissions controls. So there's a lot of little things that go into our mission of keeping things out of the landfill. And I think outside of just our service offering in terms of how we do things with the full service offering, we are very unique in our industry in that we also offer self-service options. So if you don't have everything ready to go for us to just come and take it out of there in 15 to 30 minutes, you need some time to go through the stuff in your garage or your attic or your side yard. We can drop a 12-yard dumpster into your driveway. It's not traditional 18 or 20 or like these massive things from your waste management company. We have special wheels on them so that it doesn't rip up your driveway. So they're really home and residential friendly. They're really good for small renovations for contractors as well. But then we have this third option with our new junking dumpster bag. So this is a 3-yard bag that can fit anywhere. Doesn't have to be placed in a specific spot. You can put it in your side yard, your backyard, your garage, out in front, load it as you wish, and we'll come pick it up.
Very, very cool. Crissy, I appreciate all the time today. It's really good. Tons of great information in here. I hope, I would imagine you're going to be able to pull tons of video clips out of this. So I really do appreciate you coming on. If you watch this video and you have been interested in learning more about Junk King services, or maybe you're an entrepreneur and you're like, that sounds like a pretty cool franchise, and you're looking to find out if there's one available for you, at the bottom, 888-888-JUNK. Or visit junk-king.com. Crissy, thanks so much for being a guest.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. That was really fun. Learned a lot about the junk removal business there, and about Junk King in particular. And it does sound like they're leaps and bounds ahead of what I would imagine the typical junk hauling, junk removal business to be. So I did tell you, if you stuck around to the end, I would tell you how you too can become a guest on a future episode of Meet the Experts. All you got to do is go to this website, www.meettheexperts with an S, meettheexpertspodcast.com. Read all about it. Read about the free services. Read about what you could pay for if you need help afterwards promoting it, editing it. It's a video editing process, right? It's we give you the raw video, we give you the interview. But if you need help, a lot of business owners have kind of gotten to that point and they're like, I don't know how to chop this up into a year's worth of content. We can help you. So visit it, no obligation. Would love to have you on an upcoming episode. We have been recording episodes like crazy. We are hoping that by Christmas, we will be able to have our 100th episode. We are getting so close. And I've got a lot of episodes on the books. So we'll be around for a while, and we can't wait to see you on an upcoming episode.